Hello people, welcome back to another wonderful video. I hope you are doing well. I hope the bed bugs didn't bite, but today I want to take a look at some of the artists from hip hop that made their way onto the big screen. Let's start with a little brief history, alright? Early on in hip hop, artists did not have many avenues to monetize their talent and creativity. So eventually, some select hip-hop artists would try their luck in the film industry, They would try to give the movies a shot. You gotta realize, back then, these rappers weren't making a living off of multiple sources of income like today's rappers. Nowadays, these rappers are able to look so flashy because they can drop just one project and get money from the main music streaming platforms, get money from the album, sales, media appearances, touring, merchandise, selling online promo, and like 10 other ways, On top of all that, record deals in the 90s were absolutely atrocious. So lots of the money rappers would earn off their music, they wouldn't even really see. With that being the case, it was only natural that the rappers early on tried to venture out into different methods of entertainment that were more lucrative. Besides the money though, it was also a great outlet for creative expression. Rap and acting are both forms of storytelling, and rappers already create characters and narratives in their music, so it only came natural to them. Rappers are also used to performing and projecting emotion, which translates well on the screen. Another important thing to know is that the music industry can be quite volatile, alright? A rapper's career typically spans from 2 to 5 years max. After that, you either fall off completely or become a legacy act, meaning you did your thing, and you're well respected, but you're not as active on the Billboard charts as you once were. Really, that's the ideal outcome, to be honest with you, as it's nearly impossible to stay on top in the hip-hop space. And I know there are a select few who have dominated for 5 to 10 years, but it always comes with a cost, and that cost is typically their legacy in some way. But look, now that you know the why, let's go over the who. There's no one better to start with other than Will Smith. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, before Will Smith was around smacking dudes on stage and stuff, he was a real deal hip-hop act. He originally began as a duo with DJ Jazz Jeff, and when he was rapping, he went by the name The Fresh Prince. Will Smith wasn't just a flash in the pan either in hip-hop. He's literally the first rapper to ever get a Grammy. That's a pretty important stat. The duo lasted from the 1980s to the early 2000s, and during that time, Will Smith would star in his first commercially successful movie titled Bad Boys, which was released in 1995. Bad Boys was a significant breakthrough and helped solidify his status as a leading main role. It also marked the beginning of a very successful movie franchise, and after that, you guys pretty much know the rest. He would go on to star in plenty of classic films. Titles like Independence Day, Men in Black, Wild Wild West, I Am Legend, The Pursuit of Happiness, and plenty more titles. Will Smith would drop his last album in 2005, well after he had starred in some of those mentioned titles. Some people don't consider the Fresh Prince a real hip-hop artist, but I don't know. I think Will Smith has done enough in both spaces, so to not include him in this video, that wouldn't really be accurate. Will Smith proves the point I made earlier about how pivoting into the film industry is very lucrative. Will Smith's fortune is mostly due to his success in Hollywood. Now, another person I feel made the great leap from hip-hop to Hollywood so well is none other than Ice Cube. To keep it so real with y'all, Ice Cube was the inspiration behind this video, because between his legendary run with NWA and his creation of Cube Vision Productions, there's just so much important things to talk about in both spaces. Ice Cube, born O'Shea Jackson Jr., started as a prominent hip-hop figure, a pioneer of gangsta rap, and a founding member of the legendary rap group NWA. Now, I'm not going to go on and on about that time because that story is pretty well known and documented, but I'll start with the year 1990, the year he left NWA due to financial disputes, marking the beginning of his solo career. Within the years 1990 and 1991, he drops 2 albums, one titled America's Most Wanted and the other titled Death Certificate. Both were moderately successful, and in my opinion, both are pretty good albums. Cube would follow these albums with the projects titled The Predator and one titled Lethal Injection. Just 2 years later, he would finally make the first leap and starred in the first Friday movie, which ended up being a critical, commercial, and cultural success that spawned 2 more sequels. Speaking of sequels, Next Friday, the sequel to the first Friday, was the first film released through Cube Vision Productions. Cube Visions is a film and television production company founded by Ice Cube and Matt Alvarez in 1995. Ice Cube would continue to put out culturally impactful films well into the 2010s. The catalog that Cube Vision has speaks for itself truly. On top of being impactful to hip-hop and Hollywood, Cube's films would really help launch several legendary comedy acts into success. This level of impact we can't just overlook, so it's important to throw him in the convo when we talk about the best to go from rapper to actor. Another person that should be included in the conversation is Ice-T. Ice-T, born Tracy Merrill, began his rap career in the 1980s, contributing to the rise of gangsta rap heavily. He gained traction with his classic albums like Rhyme Pays and The Iceberg / Freedom of Speech. He was actually one of the first gangsta rappers to spark real controversy and ridicule in America. This was due to his track Cop Killer. Ice-T's acting career took off around the late 1980s and early 1990s, appearing in films like New Jack City and Ricochet. But those were simply his entrance into Hollywood because he is really best known for his long-running role as Detective Odufin Tutuola on the show Law & Order Special Victims Unit. This role has been a defining aspect of his overall career, establishing him as a respected actor and TV personality. I personally remember from middle school to the end of high school, I couldn't avoid seeing Law & Order on TV. That show was very popular and still has a very strong fan base. All that being the case, I definitely had to throw Ice-T in the mix, just like how I'm also going to throw Mr. Tupac Shakur in the mix. I don't want to go in too deep on his hip-hop contribution because let's keep it real, we already understand how significant he is. But simply put, Tupac's early music success opened some doors for him, okay? His debut album titled Tupacalypse Now made big waves politically and culturally, with raw, socially conscious lyrics. The sound of Pac's art, along with his growing fame and charisma, made him a compelling figure for casting directors seeking authenticity and intensity, especially for urban dramas. And by the way, Tupac wasn't just a rapper who stumbled into acting. He was kind of trained for it. As a teen, he attended the Baltimore School for the Arts, where he studied acting, poetry, jazz, and even ballet. He actually performed in some Shakespearean plays and took on theatrical roles before ever even releasing a rap record. To be honest, Tupac didn't just act, he embodied his roles. He used his life experiences such as poverty, struggles, and his black identity as raw material to act off of. Directors often commented that Tupac didn't need much direction, he just brought powerful emotion to scenes instinctively. It really goes deeper than that because he saw acting as a platform to portray the black experience beyond the constraints of music. He also wanted to break stereotypes and not just portray a thug or a gangster, but a full human being, one who is angry, loving, funny, broken, and brilliant. Just 2 years after he dropped Tupacalypse Now, he would star in his first movie titled Juice. Juice is a classic cultural piece that was praised for Tupac's emotional range and authenticity. The next year rolls around, and he stars in his second movie titled Poetic Justice, where he displays a romantic and sensitive side of him, which was a contrast to his public persona at the time. Then the year after that, he starred in a movie titled Above the Rim. All three of those movies are classics, by the way. Unfortunately, though, due to his untimely demise, he wasn't able to fully explore his potential. But Tupac had multiple films in development at the time of his death in 1996. He was even in talks for bigger roles and considered writing and directing himself. At the end of the day, to him, art, whether rhyme or on screen, was his way to express his truth and struggle to the world. Rest in peace to the legend, man. Speaking of legends, though, let's cover our last artist, Ludacris. Luda made one of the more successful transitions from rapper to actor in the early 2000s, balancing both careers with notable success. Early on, Ludacris rose to fame in the southern hip-hop scene with albums like Back for the First Time, Word of Mouth, and Chicken and Beer. It was hits like Southern Hospitality, Roll Out, and Stand Up that cemented him as a mainstream hip-hop act. During the height of his rap career, though, is when he would make the switch to acting. His first role would be in the film Too Fast, Too Furious, where he played the character Tej Parker. His debut was in 2003, and just the next year in 2004, he would star in the movie titled Crash, a major leap from the Fast and Furious franchise. His role as Anthony really showed a more dramatic side to Luda, as opposed to his usual comic relief role. The film actually won the Oscar for Best Picture, so it definitely wasn't just some little tiny B-level indie film. Ludacris would continue to appear in 7 more Fast and Furious films and became a recurring character and a fan favorite. He would also go on to appear in movies like Hustle and Flow, Gamer, and No Strings Attached. Ludacris is known for being quite versatile, considering early on he took on both comedic and dramatic roles. His charismatic screen presence with a blend of humor and street smarts makes him great for the big screen. And that's pretty much it for Ludacris. Overall, he made an amazing transition from a hip-hop act to a real deal actor. So, That brings me to the main question of this video. Who really was the best rapper turned actor? Well, from my personal opinion, I really think Ice Cube was the best to do it, okay? In my eyes, to go from a very significant and impactful rap group like NWA to making your own movie production company shows a special level of dedication to both crafts. Ice Cube is literally West Coast hip-hop royalty and probably could have maintained a relatively healthy rap career similar to Snoop or Dre. But he decided to move on to the big screen and move on to Hollywood entertainment. Beyond that, the actual quality of Cube's work is pretty top tier and has plenty of cultural impact. I personally grew up on the whole Friday franchise and the rest of Cube Vision movies. But hey, look, that's just me speaking biasly. But if I were to really answer that question without my own personal opinion, I would say Tupac is the best rapper turned actor. And I'm saying that simply put because Tupac was a true artist, all right? In the sense that he didn't transition to an actor because his music career was going down the drain or because he wanted to make more money. He transitioned to acting because he simply wanted another creative outlet to express himself. And that's what sets Tupac apart from the rest. To him, it was real. It was how he wanted to show how he sees the world. At the end of the day, I truly am inspired by those who chose to expand past hip-hop and went into something that'll cement their legacy even further. But hey, just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Who's your favorite rapper turned actor? And if you guys watch this video to the end, thank you so much. It truly means the world to me. Let me know if you want me to make a video on anything specific. I'm always taking suggestions. But until next time, goodbye.